What happens after the anime for Titania ends? What's next for Ghislaine and Van Hulick? I searched long and far, and thankfully, thanks to a certain Tumblr user, somebody put down summaries of volumes 4 and 5, which came out in 2015, way after the anime was over. So we get to see what happens and how Titania concludes. Will this ever get translated? Will it ever get adapted? Who knows? This user is unfortunately no longer active. I don't know what happened to this person, but I will put them in the description because the credit belongs to them. And I will read their summary of what happens in Tytania after the anime ends. Quote unquote. It's sort of sad that the English-speaking fandom is so completely out of the loop with Tanaka Yoshiki's Tytania, even though he's finally finished the series after a 22-year break just this February. I'm going to remedy this a little and spoil the major post-anime plot points. I won't go into how the anime differs from the novels. It does differ quite a bit. This is true. But nothing too major to irrevocably derail the main plot. So the anime ends at chapter 7 of volume 2 with Zalish's death. The remaining 2 chapters of the volume are mostly about the 2 sides, the planet Bagash and Tytania, preparing to go to war. In volume 3, after Tytania presents the Bagash government with an ultimatum to surrender, the war breaks out, but hostilities end quickly because the main target, Van Hulick, is nowhere to be found on Bagash, suggesting that he left it. Aryabart is the one in command of the Tytania fleet and is successfully blockading the planet. After much ado, he gets wind of the intel suggesting that Hulick is still in Bagash and is hiding in the depths of its ocean. Aryabart goes to fight him in the ocean to finally put an end to this whole space-scale chase that's got blown way out of proportions. However, Fan, with his clever out-of-the-box tricks that Aryabart positively no good at dealing with, wins the battle against Aryabart again and again, with quite the devastating consequences for Aryabart, who is injured in the process. Once Aryabart comes to, he files in a resignation request, asking to be removed from all the government and military positions he holds, including as one of the 4 Tytania dukes. The spineless emperor, though, fearing Idris gaining more power with no one to oppose him, rejects Aryabart's resignation. Meanwhile, Ghislaine is cleared to go to Bagash to take control of Aryabart's currently commanderless fleet, left there due to its commander Aryabart being incapacitated and in the hospital for the next 3 months. As the inner rift inside the Tytania clan intensifies, Idris fears the possibility of Ghislaine and Aryabart joining forces, which would be too much for him alone to handle, so he decides to enlist Van Hulick's help to balance it out. Tytania is short of tacticians, ironically. When Ghislaine has just departed, an assassination attempt on Ajman's life happens, and Idris accuses Ghislaine in masterminding it. Ajman is injured. Ajman the Lord is injured and is in bed. Idris essentially becomes the landless lord in Ajman's absence. Ghislaine arrives to Bagash and joins hands with Aryabart in his forces, forming the AJ Alliance. Idris uses the opportunity to revoke Ghislaine and Aryabart's titles on suspicion of them plotting to kill Ajman and gives him a week to answer his accusations. Meanwhile, Hulick and company accept Idris' invitation to join Tytania. A war breaks out between the 2 Tytania factions, the official Tytania, led by Idris, and the AJ Alliance, led by Aryabart and Ghislaine. To hit Ghislaine where it hurts the most, Idris orders Hulick and company to attack Lydia's planet Elbing, and as one of his younger and least sane brothers, Randomorph, supervise them just in case. However, Hulick is less than appreciative of having to massacre a helpless little kingdom and of dealing with a conceited 17-year-old ordering him around, so he just leaves all the planning and stuff to Randomorphs, who is happy, of course, making him even more office walker with self-importance, and takes the first opportunity to just run away on Randomorphs right in the middle of the fight. Meanwhile, the AJ Alliance fleet, 20,000 ships strong, attacks the Uraniborg, Idris' fleet, 40,000 ships strong. Ghislaine, who is considered a genius politician but not a military man, wisely leaves all the strategizing and commanding to Aryabart, and the latter proves that he's actually not a complete failure as a strategist, and defeats Idris' fleet by throwing a preemptive punch and destroying the gates from where the ships should emerge before they even have the chance to. Just then, Ajman, previously in bed due to the gunshot wound, contacts Aryabart and Ghislaine and suggests peaceful talks, sending Zulfa Tytania, Idris' 13-year-old brother, to them for that purpose. When Zulfa finishes to read the conditions of the treaty, he takes out a gun from inside the scroll he's been reading from and shoots Aryabart to death. Poor Aryabart, second Duke to fall. Ajman contacts Ghislaine and says that now that Aryabart is down for the count and the chances get equalized, Ghislaine and Idris have to fight it out between the two of them, and the last man standing will become the next landless lord. Ghislaine realizes Ajman is out of his mind and that he needs to kill him and also avenge Aryabart, who is, as it turns out, his brother by blood. Plot twist. They have the same father and their mothers are sisters. Meanwhile, Idris is kicked out of the Uraniborg fleet commander seat in favor of his younger brother, Radomors, who gets on Idris' secret weapon, a huge, ultra-powerful warship, the Black Prince. Dr. Lee suggests Hulek and company, along with the Blaze Flag pirates, join the fray in an interesting way. He offers Ghislaine a hostage exchange. The crew of Honest Old Man Jr. will take care of the young Zulfa, showing him that there is life outside of the Tytania clan. Ghislaine wasn't going to kill the kid, despite having a natural desire to, since said kid killed Aryabart, so he doesn't know what to do with him. While they present him Fan Hulek to use as a military advisor in this battle, Ghislaine is not a fool, and knowing that military tactics is pretty far from his specialization, and with the loss of Aryabart, the fleet is left tacticianless, agrees. Ghislaine and Dr. Lee, recognizing each other as being of the same breed, aka sly politicians, and hitting it off at first sight, is pretty hilarious. Also, when Ghislaine first sees Fan in person, even he can't help thinking how plain and normal Hulek looks, or Fan Hulek, for someone possessing the tactical genius of that magnitude. On Radomor's order, Black Prince starts firing its main cannon indiscriminately at friendlies and foes alike. At first, such an insanely reckless tactic succeeds, but not for long, as due to Ghislaine accepting and implementing Fan's wise strategical input. First, the remaining Uraniborg forces are annihilated by his fleet, and later, Black Prince itself is put down. In the process, Randomorph, wanting to be the next landless lord, fires the main cannon of Black Prince at Uraniborg, half destroying it. At which point, a mutiny breaks out, leading to Randomorph getting shot even before Black Prince goes down. With Black Prince and Tytania fleet out of the way, Ghislaine goes into Uraniborg to kill Ajman. Fan Hulek tags along, and they are joined by most of Honest Old Man Jr.'s crew, as well as Idris, who is searching for Ajman for the same purpose. Because at this point, it's clear to everyone that Ajman is insane, and nobody noticed until now, except for the all-knowing Dr. Lee, who had his suspicions. Fan Hulek and company are left to deal with the enemies en route, so it's only Ghislaine and Idris who find Ajman in a throne room. In the ensuing fight, Ajman kills Idris and blinds Ghislaine with an electric whip, but Ghislaine still manages to kill him by using his blaster as a Jedi sword. A huge number of bombs planted by Ajman then detonate as they're set to explode in case of Ajman's heart stops, just like Adrian Rubinsky from Legend of the Galactic Heroes, the brain bomb. So that was a nice reference to that, or I guess, similarity. Ghislaine covers Francia with his body. Don't ask how or why she even got there. In the end, the Tytania clan is led by Count Herman Tytania, who should have been introduced back at Balgash in the anime when Zalish was still alive. In short, a wise, calm, observant, non-ambitious politician with a gift for negotiations. But the times have changed, and it's not Pax Tytania anymore. Chaos and rebellions are not as rare anymore. Ghislaine is considered MIA, thus making the Tytania clan technically headless, with all the 5 family heads killed or missing. In reality, Ghislaine's alive, but is blind and can't walk, stuck in a wheelchair and cared by Francia. Lydia and Balami are alright, and Lydia swears that she'll find Ghislaine in Francia someday. believing them to be alive. The final scene of Volume 5 is a near miss between Fan, Hulick, and Francia, that is, Ghislaine by extension. Fan catches a glimpse of Francia, who's there with Ghislaine, in a spaceport on Emmental, when he, together with that woman, what's her name, Sarah, I think? That was introduced on Balgash in the last episode. Yeah, Sarah. How could this person forget? Anyways, it's about to go to Balgash. He singles Francia out from the crowd because she's beautiful and stands out, but he doesn't know who she is. Ghislaine never let him see her in Lydia back when Fan Hulick was in Austria. Thus, body count by the end among more or less prominent characters: Zalish, Aryabart, Idris, Radamors, Ajman, Theodora, Teresa, Valinkov, Crippled, Ghislaine, alive and kicking, Hulick and his friends, except for Valinkov, Francia, Balami, Lydia. As to my opinion on how it all ended, well, it could have been worse, but it also could have been better, with all the possible plot developments that the ending of the third novel teased. I'm happy that we did get to see Fan and Ghislaine cooperate, but I have to agree with some of the Japanese fans saying that way too little time was spent showcasing Hulick's genius. We wanted more, not to mention that Balami kind of stole some of Hulick's limelight by constantly butting in with his opinions and strategies. Ajman turning the insane big bad was a little too corny. Kinda like a cop-out. It also saddens me that Ghislaine didn't make it unscathed. Yeah, I do feel bad for Ghislaine. But as I said, it could have been worse. All in all, the first 3 novels and the last 2 are very different books, which is only to be expected, I guess, considering that 22 years have passed between Tanaka writing them. And that is the conclusion to Tytania, with the last volumes. Maybe one day somebody would try to adapt it into an anime. Who knows? Thank you for listening.